Hello everyone, welcome back to Luke's TV Talk. I'll go over some of the most recent TV episodes I've been watching. For this episode, I'll be looking at House of the Dragon, episode 9 and 10. But just before I get into that, I uploaded a review for The Conjuring, so if you're interested, go give that a watch. And also make sure to like, subscribe to keep up to date with all future uploads. Okay, so last week I didn't do an episode for episode 9, so I thought I'd give it a quick review and look at in this episode before I give a full look at of the plot and my thoughts on episode 10. So let's go over episode 9 quickly. So Viserys has died, and Alicent and Otto put into motion Aegon being crowned king. So everything behind the scenes is basically Alicent, Otto, and all of the council making sure Aegon becomes king and no one else finds out. Everyone that doesn't confirm or bend the knee is killed. So I think it's the bald bloke who's in all black. He basically tries to escape and warn Rhaenyra, but gets captured and hung by the end of the episode because he tried to go against their plan. Alicent wants to be peaceful with Rhaenyra, but Otto wants her killed, so they're basically fighting off against each other to try and create a peaceful conclusion, but Otto just wants to get rid of the other opposing force. After going missing, Aegon is found, and he's almost forced onto the throne, but he eventually embraces it and takes the title of king. After being imprisoned, Rhaenys escapes on her dragon, making a big scene and not killing Alicent and her family. So through a lot of the episode, a lot of people were imprisoned so they couldn't tell other people in the kingdom, and Rhaenys was one of them. And she basically got locked up in her room. And at the end of the episode, she burst through the floor, killing loads of people, but didn't kill Alicent because in episode 10 she said she didn't want to start the war. So that was her thinking. But yeah, I had a great time with this episode. It was very slow, methodical, behind the scenes planning. Rhaenys was the highlight and a complete badass, especially at the end. She could have killed the whole of the family, but didn't because she knew it's not her war to start. Otto, the council, and Criston Cole are all evil and scheming, so they're basically trying to remove anyone that would dare try and get in the way of their plans, and especially Otto. He is the mastermind behind it all, really. Sympathies with Alicent, but I hate what she's doing, so she's only looking out for her children, and what she heard from Viserys was basically make Aegon king, even though she misunderstood. I understand where she's coming from, so I don't fully blame her, but I hate the way she's doing it. It's not right. And then Aegon is worthless. We find out in the episode that Aegon is just a piece of shit, really. And he's just an awful person and he shouldn't be king. And I think eventually it's going to come around to bite him in the arse because he didn't want to be, but he took it anyway. So he's going to learn the hard way that he shouldn't have done that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on episode 9. So let's jump into episode 10 and give it a full look over for the plot and my thoughts. So Rhaenys arrives on Dragonstone and tells Rhaenyra about Viserys dying and Aegon being put on the throne. When you see her face, she is shocked beyond anything else. Because she thought Alicent and her were building something back and now completely gone. It is nothing anymore. It's worthless. With all this stress, Rhaenyra goes into early labour. So she starts to feel pain in her stomach and she puts her hand under her dress and she pulls her hand out covered in blood. And it's not looking good at all. Daemon wants to start planning, but Rhaenyra says not to until she's ready. So Daemon clearly wants to get back at Otto and all these traitors basically for putting Aegon on the throne and not Rhaenyra. While Daemon tests the loyalty of some knights, Rhaenyra gives birth to a gruesome scene and the baby is stillborn. So this is a horrible scene where she's basically telling all the maids and handmaidens to leave her alone. She doesn't want any help. And she basically pulls the baby out of her vagina basically. And it's disgusting. There's blood pouring out everywhere. The baby is lifeless. It is truly gruesome and not a pretty sight at all. They cremate the baby and Eric arrives and swears loyalty to the Queen and hands her Viserys' crown. Everyone else present bows as well. Everyone meets and plans with the discussion of dragons being the focus. Then Otto and his party arrive. So Daemon's talking about how even with dragons that aren't with riders at the moment, they have like 13 or 14 dragons to the 4 they have on the green side. So they've got good odds, but they just need to kind of control some of the dragons. And one of them is the second oldest that Daemon goes and sees later in the episode. Otto proposes peace and makes many offers. Daemon is completely against it all, but Rhaenyra says she will take a day and decide. She's thinking of peace. So when she was talking with her father, she knew she wanted to keep peace in the kingdom. And whatever happens with this war is going to burn so much of the kingdom, and she knows she needs to try and keep some peace. Rhaenyra debates taking the offer to keep the kingdom in peace, but Daemon knows war is already upon them. So they argue, they send everyone out of the room, and Daemon and Rhaenyra go back and forth on what they really need to do. Lord Corlys awakens and meets with Rhaenyra. He pledges himself and his fleet to her. They make plans to isolate King's Landing. So King's Landing, it seems it gets a lot of its trade from the port, from the sea, and Corlys is like, okay, we'll block off all of that with our fleet, and that means King's Landing's going to be starved, basically, for all resources. Jace and Luke offer to visit houses to convince them to join Rhaenyra's side. Daemon visits one of the unclaimed dragons nesting on Dragonstone. So we get this really cool scene of Daemon walking through tunnels and singing in High Valyrian, and this dragon just pops up and starts breathing fire everywhere and goes right up close to Daemon. It looks like a vicious beast, and I'm really curious to see what it's going to be like next season. Jace goes to Winterfell, to the Starks, and Luke goes to Storm's End, to the Baratheons. Luke arrives at Storm's End, but Aemond has already arrived and made a deal, so Luke quickly leaves. So we get this really cool shot of Luke landing, and he sees Vhagar off in the distance, and it is gigantic. It dwarfs the castle, and he is like, oh no, because he knows Aemond's there now. And basically the Baratheons are like, we've made a deal with Aemond, he's going to marry my daughter. Luke obviously can't do that because he's already betrothed, so he leaves quickly before anything else can happen. Luke and Aemond end up fighting in the skies, with neither of their dragons listening to them. So Luke's dragon, I think it's Arax, he ends up breathing fire on Vhagar and not listening to Luke, and Vhagar doesn't listen to Aemond either. They're like spoilt dogs, and Aemond and Luke just can't control them. In the end, Vhagar kills Luke and his dragon, to Aemond's worried face, so he knows that he shouldn't have done that really, because Luke was a messenger, and now he's going to have to try and spin it to make it look like he did it on purpose to look big and better on the battlefield. Rhaenyra finds out, and her face says she's ready for war. So Daemon comes in with the news, and Rhaenyra turns towards the camera, and you can see in her face she is going to take no prisoners now. So I had a great time with this finale of this episode. You can feel the tension and the war brewing really soon. Nothing seems to go well for Rhaenyra, so she was starting to get things better with the Greens and Alicent, and then this whole episode, her stillborn birth, her son dies, and it is just getting worse and worse, and she is just becoming a hardened character that just doesn't want to take any prisoners. I love the table they have for the council. I know it's a small little detail, but the table is like a big map, and they put coals under it, and it lights it up, and I thought it was an awesome way to visualise the land of Westeros. I have full respect for Eric for sticking to his oath, so his, I think, brother Arik stayed with Otto and the Greens, but Eric knew he had the right thing to do and joined the Queen. I respect him for that. I love the mysterious dragon Daemon finds. It looks really ominous and beastly, and I'm really excited to see what it looks like in the full light, because we only saw the front of its face, and I want to see it in full sunlight and the scale of it. Otto is a ballsy character. He just went up to Dragonstone, offered them so-and-so, and was like, yeah, I can do that. And and he's just like not even caring that they've got dragons or they could kill them at any point. But yeah, he is a very ballsy character. And I understand why Rhaenyra would consider peace, because she knows that an all-out war would destroy the kingdom, and they need a Targaryen on the throne, and war would do nothing but ruin those plans, so I can understand why she would consider it. I respect Luke for trying. Luke tried to get something working with the Baratheons, it didn't work, and also tried to get away from Aemond, but it didn't work in the end. Aemond is getting crazier, I feel like. He didn't have to go after Luke, but he did, and it was just chaos. And then both of the dragons just didn't care. They listened to their master for a while, and then just disregarded anything they said and just attacked each other. Complete chaos. But yeah, I love this episode, and I love the series as a whole. This first season was awesome, and I'm so excited to see where the war goes in season 2. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this episode. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to keep up to date with all future uploads. And until next time, I will see you all later.